Some of you in the room right now, you are where you are, you're giving 60% when you have 120 in you. Why? Because you've never made a decision. Those of you in this room, you already there. Your problem is this is stuff you don't want to give up to go. Listen to me, pound for pound, any agent in the room, pound for pound, motivational speaker, pound for pound, entrepreneur, pound for pound, athlete, pound for pound, weightlifter, pound for pound, whatever you do, I guarantee you when you do it, nobody can do it like you do it. The problem is you don't hardly do it.
Welcome back to CFB Nation. I'm your host, NinoBrown, and this is CFB Prime, and I got my guy, New England Football Journal Zone, Kevin Stone. How we doing tonight, buddy?
Doing good, man. Good to see you.
You as well. It's been a little bit. I think last time we saw each other was Pro Day, I want to say.
Spring game.
Spring game, correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, it's been a little bit. And then I got a couple things I want to pick your brain about Boston College and what the vibes are right now in Chestnut Hill. Let's get right into this rapid fire. Give me your all-time favorite Boston College player.
So it's funny. I didn't know this was coming until about 2 minutes ago. Luke Kuechly obviously has to be up there. For me, it's Matt Ryan, number 2. And I said to you before we started, there's not many to pick from, really, at least for our generation. The 80s and 90s, maybe, but we're 2000s guys. So those two probably come to mind first for me.
Yeah, I like Luke Kuechly's obviously my guy, which we talked about before. Boston College will win blank amount of games this season.
9.
Ooh, I love it. And I'm not even we're gonna let that marinate for the viewers at home. DB Amari Jackson will finish as an all ACC team in 2024.
If he doesn't, something went wrong. Either injury or the team just didn't perform right. Because I'll tell you, he was their best player, one of their best players during spring ball.
Oh, he was electric for sure. And all the buzz coming out of camp is he's supposed to be that guy. My final rapid fire. Will Boston College be a top 25 program within the next 5 years?
Yeah, no doubt.
That's my man. That's what I'm talking about. I love the confidence. You didn't even have it. Was yes. We're going to go right into it. Well, it leads right into piggyback in. Commit to Bill O'Brien has become somewhat of a movement right now. As a guy who has his own room at Fishfield, what is the pulse of Boston College right now?
So look, and you're high on recruiting and you have your ear to the ground on all things recruiting. The buzz is high, as it should be. Now look, we've talked about this I don't know how many times. It has to mean wins on the field.
Yes.
But for right now, why shouldn't the buzz be high? You have a staff with 80 years of NFL coaching experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's insane. And yes, the Hafley staff had it, but not like this. And I mean, you were down there for spring ball. It's palpable. You could feel it. You could feel why the kids were buying in right from the jump. Look, Bill O'Brien was yelling at them on the first day within a half hour.
Yes.
And again, this isn't a knock on Hafley. He was good to us.
Yeah.
But it's different. It is different. And again, they need to win games. It has to show itself on the field. But for June and July, it's different right now.
Yeah, I knew things were going to be different when I showed up to the pro day, and I was a half hour early, and I felt like I was a half hour late because Bill was already addressing, scouts and stuff, and I'm like, oh, let me just scoot by. Sorry, guys. You know what I mean? I'm like, normally, I'm early to things, and I felt like, oh, boy, there's a different regime. There's a different vibe here, and it's just been piggybacking as we get along here. All right. BC's got a ton of recent commits, especially in the QB department. What does this kind of overall mean for sophomore QB Jacoby Robinson? As Grayson's kind of filled in as the future after Thomas, or so, as we'll get into that later.
Yeah, you and I have gone back and forth on backup QBs for 2 years now. And look, you know how I feel about Grayson, but we'll talk about that when we get closer to training camp. Look, in today's world, these kids could easily decommit tomorrow.
Right.
And it doesn't mean a ton except for the fact that, and you've seen this nationally, word is starting to spread about the message that this staff is trying to present. And again, that NFL experience, every recruit I've talked to, it's the first thing they bring up. It's the staff, it's the experience. So, but as far as Jacoby goes, look, right now he's the third guy.
Right.
But again, he could, what if Grayson gets hurt in camp? All of a sudden he's number 2. So, yes, he's the third guy for now. The commits, I don't think it means much. Again, I just go back to, in today's world, these kids could change their mind tomorrow. So, yeah, it's nice to have their word for now, and it sounds good, especially a kid like Shaker Reesing. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. When you get a kid like that who had an offer from Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, yeah, it's huge. But again, he could change his mind tomorrow. So, as far as Jacoby goes, it is what it is right now, and we'll see what happens in camp.
I wanted to circle back a little bit to that first question about Bill O'Brien. The NCAA's extended coaching staffs to unlimited. Okay. And we have, I think it's 3 or 4 guys from NFL experience on our staff. Is there a chance that we see Billy get in his bag here and just bring in some analysts? You know what I mean? Give him a role.
So look, Doug Marone's already here.
Right.
Ernie Adams, I'm not sure if he was there the day you were there, but he's kind of popped up next to me one day. And Bill O'Brien said he walked over. So could I see him as a consultant? Sure. I'm not sure he'll ever be given a title at this point. I think he's sort of in the background, or would like to be in the background at this stage. But yeah, look, I mean, we've seen, and Bill O'Brien has said he wants to bring former players around. Right. What's not to say Julian Edelman one day couldn't be, technically a consultant. Do I think he ever would be? No. But that type of thing, yeah, sure. I mean, you got Will Blackman right now, who's on staff. Who else am I missing? I mentioned Doug Marone there. Yeah. There's a few guys. So, yeah, I mean, it could definitely sort of expand. But right now, I think he likes to keep sort of his in-house people around him without titles.
I think he's a very smart, slick fella, and I think he's doing the right thing. I have a funny feeling there's going to be more guys just kind of popping up. Like we talked about before, you had Kuechly in the building, you had Matt Ryan in the building. We had these guys in the building that hadn't been there in a while, and I wouldn't have seen it, but last year I saw Will, and I was hoping I always said it. I said on Twitter, I would love to have Will come back home, do something with the program, and boom, here he is. And I feel like, all right, Hafley was supposed to be the secondary guy. It's not a knock to him, but I feel like Will's got this recruitment thing kind of going for him right now with the secondary, and I'm loving it.
No, they all do. There's a swagger amongst that staff that just wasn't there. And again, I don't want this to sound like a knock on Hafley,
right?
Because I know you feel the same way. He was great to the media. There was never a time where he wasn't. But I think you just feel, for whatever reason, in today's recruiting world, this staff is able to connect more with this younger generation. And I don't know why. It's not like Hafley's an old guy. What's he, 45 maybe?
Right.
Something like that. So it's hard to pinpoint. But in terms of recruiting, and I do think that's part of it, Will Blackman's not old. Matt Ryan, he might be old, but he can still relate to some of these kids nowadays because he's at, the quarterback camps and stuff like that. So you're right. Bringing these guys back is huge. But I think even more so, O'Brien's ability to bring back people that have won at a high level, like a Julian Edelman, like an Ernie Adams. That's the biggest thing. Kids want to hear from people that have not only done it, but have won. And you can't do much better than what Bill O'Brien's doing right now.
Yeah. And you mentioned Edelman. Edelman came out and said that they're building something, over here. He came out. And then, just 3 days ago, he's on his podcast with the BC hat on. So maybe it is, I always say with there's smoke, there's fire.
Right.
And maybe we get, Edelman or past guys from the Patriots, like that have connections to Bill, because now it's like, oh, Julian's here. Let me swing by, see what Billy's doing. You start seeing it could be like a Warren Sapp thing, right? Warren Sapp just went to go visit Dion. Next thing you know, he's a defensive line coach. So you never know.
No.
And I'll tell you what, kudos to the social media team at BC, man. They have ramped it up, and they are knocking out of the park so far in this early off season.
No, they've for really the last 2 or 3 years. They've been sort of at the forefront of trying to get the program back. And again, as weird as it might sound, for the younger kids, and look, we're not that old, but we sound it.
Yeah.
For the younger kids, that type of crap matters.
Yeah.
Like those commitment, the background images or whatever, that's part of the process now, which it probably shouldn't be, but it is.
You got to adapt and grow, and it seems as though we're out in front of it, and that's what I like to see. We may not have the best facilities, but we're starting to do what we can in those departments to make us better, and I love it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this is wide receiver. They got a pretty deep room, but I've been pounding the table since the day he stepped on the field, and you know who my guy is, Jaden Skeet. Please talk me off this ledge of me thinking that this is going to be a year 2 breakout, because I can't see anything else happen. The social media team is pushing it now. I mean, it's come, right?
That's the funny thing, is that even they're pushing it. No, there's no reason not to think it's coming. Look, the addition of Duran Bradley on the outside is going to free up everybody else. And just looking at your face, we talked about this at Spring Ball for like 45 minutes. We basically mapped out their offense before they did. But look, that something just fell. You have Lewis Bond,
Yep.
you have Duran Bradley, and you have Jaden Skeet as your top 3. So Skeet's the 3rd guy there. So I love him, and I know you do too. I love him in the slot.
Yes.
More than anything. And he sort of had that maybe not a coming out party, but it was starting to come last year towards the end of the year when he got more targets finally.
Yeah.
And part of that was Ryan O'Keefe going down as well. He was supposed to be the guy. So, but no, there's no reason not to believe that Skeet can have that big year. And you and I talked to him a bunch of times. He thinks it's coming too, which might be the most important thing.
Yes.
To have that confidence. And look, we covered him at CM a bunch. I saw, 3/4 of his career. He's as consistent as they come. As long as he gets targets and those other guys with him stay healthy and draw attention away from him, I think he has a huge year.
And you know what? The thing is like them Hyde Park boys aren't afraid of anything. They all 3 of them are ready to go at any time of day. And you say he might not have had a coming out party. He had a coming out moment. That catch.
Yeah.
In the middle of the field, one-handed. Then he has the body control to spin around and turn up the field. I was like, oh, everything I saw in the high school, now he's putting on the field at the collegiate level. And then he kind of started to, after that, they started getting him some more, manufactured targets, and he started to come on, especially, in the bowl game and in the latter part of the season. It was like, okay, he's on the field. And then spring game, he was on the field. And he was in the first half. He was the guy that they kept targeting the most. Obviously, we weren't going to go make, Lewis Bond go around there and do all the work. We don't want to show everything, but.
Yeah, no, he was hurt then too.
Yeah.
But that's funny too, because I said it to you. That was their worst day of the 15 practices, was that spring game. That was an ugly day. And I'm not sure if it was just, hey, we're glad it's over. We're getting a little break, or they really just sort of, and again, we can talk about the atmosphere all we want. We've done it ad nauseum, but I think that played a part in that day too. But no, it should be a big year for Skeet, and don't be surprised if he's your end-around guy a lot of times this year.
Oh, okay. I was going to give you a layup, but you said my guy might be the end-around guy. Talk to me about your sleeper guy here, because I know you got a little sleeper guy, a little weasel that's going to be. They think they could have some little set plays for him in this lineup.
Which one?
Is it Reed?
Oh, honestly, I forgot about Reed. I thought you were going Trayshawn Ward on me.
No.
But him too. He's look, that kid out of Florida State with him and Kyle Robichaux in the backfield. That's a 1-2 punch. But no, look, Reed was awesome.
Yep.
There's another kid too, McLaughlin. I think that's the kid more so who reminds me of Wes Welker. And as soon as you saw him, you thought the exact same thing that day. And not just because he's white or because he's fast. He's quick. He can line up in the slot. Can do a lot of things. But that kid Reed is a massive target. That's the first thing I said to you. Slot, outside, doesn't matter. He looks like a tight end, honestly, but he runs like a receiver. So, yeah, man, that's another kid. He's a redshirt freshman, so I'm not sure how, but he deserves to be on the field. At least he did in spring ball.
Yeah.
We'll see if it continues in, in training camp when when things ramp up. But I'm high on this offense because of the depth they now have.
All right. I'm right there with you. I mean, the kid attacks the ball. That's what I liked.
Yeah.
He come across the middle, knowing that he was probably going to get popped, and he was still out there trying. No pity patter. No waiting to get come in and let the ball hit him in the chest. He went out and attacked and kept going, and he was physical. So again, it's an extended practice, as you would say. But these guys aren't getting much of that exposure, and he was doing his thing when people were watching.
Yeah.
This linebacker room. I talked to you about it. I was hoping that when it came to the late portal, we went out and did something. They didn't. I think it's a glaring need for the Eagles in that defensive side of the ball in 2024. Outside of Cam Arnold, right? Is there a guy? Because the rumors are that Holler is converting the linebacker they shot of that secondary. Does his athleticism solve issues in the room where you can play him in the nickel, you can put him on the outside? What are your thoughts?
So, look, I do think it's an option, but Bryce Steele is coming back. He was out there this past spring, off and on non-contact jersey. And look, I'm sure we've all seen the stories about, why he was out and all that. So it's hard to expect anything from him. But if you get 70% of Bryce Steele with a bigger Cam Arnold,
right,
and maybe a younger kid emerges during training camp, or you have a Hawa who was flying around a lot, I think they're okay. Look, it's been a problem for them for how many years now?
Yeah, it's been the Palmer, and it's been about it.
Yeah, and look, it's a problem across the ACC for a lot of teams. So, yes, it's an issue. It's not a glaring one. I do think coaching can really make up for a lot of what happened. Tim Lewis he's been around the game forever.
Yes.
So I want to see what he does with what they have before I say, yep, linebackers are a problem again. Could they be? Yeah. Are they the biggest question right now? Absolutely. On defense, I think their defensive line is going to be one of the best in the ACC. But until we actually see how it plays out, I'm not willing to say that they're a glaring problem again this year.
Is there? I'm getting a vibe that we might see a couple of exotic packages for that front four where that makes up for this linebacker room a little bit.
I don't think they have a choice.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah.
The athleticism they have up front with both those guys off the edge.
Yeah.
Don't forget about NinoBrown as well, who's a monster. If he can stay healthy, that's a damn good team up front.
Donovan is going to be the guy. I mean, in my eyes, I think Donovan's going to be the guy. But yeah, Neto, he flashed in a couple games last year. And I'm like, okay, he's here. He's healthy. And this year he seems to be healthy, especially in spring. So we'll have to see. I like I said, I really do believe that they're going to throw these crazy exotic packages. They're going to have to, like you said, which will make up for it. And also give these guys that don't have experience in the linebacker room a little bit to kind of gain some confidence going forward.
Yeah, I also think the secondary is going to be, light years ahead.
Yeah.
We talked about Amari Jackson. They have like 3 or 4 guys that can play back
Cheeks, baby.
Yeah, dude, those two as a 1-2 could be shut down. Like I'm talking locked out. Maybe one of the best duos in the ACC. So
Ryan Turner, right? Then they have a Ohio State kid who's been playing well, and the kid that transferred over from Georgia State.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. So that's going to help those linebackers cover a little bit better, obviously, and maybe free up that front four, get after guys quicker. You don't need your linebackers running sideline to sideline nearly as much now, or dropping back.
Yeah, you're not giving the time that the quarterback has to make a play is shortened because coverage. I'm with it. All right. I saved it for the end. All right, because you touched on it a little bit. Castellanos is number 1 returning quarterback in the nation in rush yards from last year. Okay. Will Tommy Touchdown lead the nation in rush yards, or will Billy O reel him in? And is Castellanos locked for the QB1 right now?
We're really going to do this now, huh? Look, and you well know, I dismissed the Emmett Morehead thing right off the bat last year. We both did. Yeah. The majority of people did. Part of the problem was, and again, as you well know, we weren't in practice. We couldn't see what's going on.
Right.
So when Emmett Morehead came in that, second series, I think it was, and all of our jaws dropped on the floor, it's because we didn't really believe or see what he could do. Even though that they had, again, oddly enough, brought Morehead to ACC Media Day.
Crazy.
It's crazy that still happened. But
Yeah.
so look, we didn't know what Tommy could do. The staff clearly did. So Halfley deserves all the credit in the world for making that decision. This year, I'm not going to be nearly as quick to dismiss it. From what I saw, Grayson James is one. If it's 1A, 1B, he's 1B right now. Bigger arm.
Mhm.
I think he fits Bill O'Brien's sort of drop back passing style a lot better. And most importantly, and you've seen it as much as I have, if Tommy Castellanos is not a better decision maker, he will not play. And he had a horrific pick in that spring game that you and I looked at each other and said, this is why he won't play. So right now, is he QB1? 100%. QB1 should be, a Heisman candidate if all goes well. Now, granted, that's going to take a big year from him and the team, but I think he's that good. However, Bill O'Brien is not going to stand for bad decisions and turnovers, which is the one thing Tommy's not good at and hasn't been for a year now. So if he cleans that up and they head down to Florida State and he throws 2 TDs and maybe 1 pick and they barely lose, well, we're okay. But if it's 3 interceptions and 70 yards passing, Grayson James starts knocking on that door a little bit more. Again, I just think he has all the tools. Big arm. He throws absolute dimes. You saw it in person when I was there. He's accurate. And again, the size. The size stands out more than anything. So Tommy is QB1 for now.
I love Tommy, okay? And I am super appreciative for everything he did last year. But we want to see progression, okay?
Yep.
The one thing that I said to you that Grayson has that I haven't seen in Tommy is tick, 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 tick timing. He don't have like pocket presence when it comes to the timing and getting the ball out because he relies on his legs, thinking that athleticism will get him out of the play. Grayson has the time. He has that in his head. He has an eternal clock. And when he feels the clock's going, you see, boom, dime. Not a knock to Tommy, but I want to see the progression this year. I want to see him, get better at throwing over 20 yards. I don't need to see it throwing, 45-yard 9 routes. I don't need that. You know what I mean? But
I don't know if he can.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he can.
Grayson can.
Yeah, Grayson definitely can. That is 100% true.
Yep.
But I think it's hard for me because the last version of a mobile quarterback I seen with Billy O'Brien did not work out very well in Deshaun Watson. And he was a better pocket QB, than Tommy was. Yeah. So that's where my concern is, and again, it's not Bill's guy.
So that's the thing that comes to mind. But in fairness to Tommy, he's only been a passing quarterback for a year now.
Right.
Like his high school tape was all running.
Correct.
We talked about it with Halfley last season. They didn't know what they had in him until camp. Right. Like even when they recruited him. So he's still learning on the fly to be a quarterback on the mental side.
Right.
So I'm willing to give him that time.
Yes.
But look, if you're gonna make this huge hire and change the staff and change everything you do, there's gonna be a time where Bill O'Brien has to say, I can't deal with turnovers. And that's Tommy's biggest problem is the turnovers right now. So if he's a better quarterback mentally, yeah, he's gonna be fantastic and they'll win the 9 games. I think they will. But if he's turning the ball over early and putting them in a bad spot, don't be surprised if Grayson James plays. That's just you're right. It's not his guy. He doesn't have to have any loyalty to Tommy aside from right now in August.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I know, and when we talked to him after the spring game, he said it straight up. Like, me and John talked to him. He was, he's like a fire. He knows if he slips up, Grayson's there to fill it in with no problem. So I think Tommy will reel in and obviously get better with the decision making. But can the guys up front also give him time? That's another thing.
That offensive line is, I think there's 2 guys missing. But it's Mahogany and Hergel. Everybody's back.
Those are key pieces, though.
No, they are. Brad Dufek, Matt Applebaum, and you well know, I backed that hire last year. People hated it. The offensive line loves him. Recruits love him. So whatever he does in that room, it works. So I think that line's going to be fine. It's on Tommy. This entire offense is on Tommy. It really is.
They gave him all the weapons, everything he needs. They brought in a big tight end that in Morales that can block and receive. So they brought in, like you said, Trayshawn. So they have the 1-2 combo. He has all the weapons. We need to see him put it all together. We hope he does. But I think Bill O'Brien has his backup plan if for some reason it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, Kev, I appreciate you. This is a great episode. But before I let you go, let the people at home know your handle and where they can find your work. It's
simple. It's at Kstone06 on Twitter, Instagram. I have no idea. I probably should. But our website is nefootballjournal.com, New England Football Journal. Cover BC, 16 Division I schools in total in New England, the Patriots in high school. We are the most comprehensive football site in New England. So we appreciate the business and always good to see you, my friend. We will be seeing each other in training camp in like 3 weeks, which is wild.
Oh, that's absolutely crazy, huh? It came up fast, man. I appreciate you. Good episode. It's CFB Prime. This is the BC edition. Earn it. Commit. Bill O'Brien. We out.